Hello, St. Paul, and welcome back to part 2 of Bridging the Gap in Education during the COVID-19 pandemic. Here with me, I still have Ms. Bridget Kemp-Bell, and we're going to go ahead and dive into a little bit more about the parents, the children, and our institutions, and how they're going to adjust and how they are adjusting during this pandemic. So thank you for being here for part 2.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So my first question is, what lessons do you believe the school districts, educators, parents, and students are learning during this pandemic?
That's a great question. So we're still in the midst of it, in the throes, but we have learned quite a bit, even from the beginning. So in Elk Grove Unified, which is where I work, and at Valley High School, one lesson we've learned is flexibility. We've learned the lesson of flexibility. We've learned the lesson of patience with each other. We have learned the lesson of preparedness, that we kind of learned something about ourselves as a district, that when this hit, and when the pandemic hit and it impacted us locally and so closely, that we pulled resources together, pulled emotional resources together. I think we learned a lot about ourselves individually, that I can learn on the fly and I can learn quickly. I don't have to take a long time to learn something. It's amazing that when there's an emergency or when you have to learn something quickly for survival, how quickly the learning happens. And so, right. So that's one lesson we learned. Also, we learned how to collaborate and pull together. We learned how to set our own personal ideas and opinions aside, and to think about the good of the collective, which is always the student, and what's best for the student, and how can we make that happen with the resources that we have. So we learned how important leadership is, and clear communication, and we're still learning that, and that's why I'm so proud of the way that my district and my site responded and is still responding. I don't mean to just keep bragging, and I'm not really bragging, I'm just highlighting that a strong leadership is important when there are times of distress and uncertainty. And so Elk Grove Unified is fortunate to have a strong leader, and Valley High School is fortunate to have a strong leader, including all the teachers. They are amongst that. When I say leadership, I mean teachers and even parents. Everyone kind of just stepped up and rose to the occasion, including the students. So I think that that's a great lesson to learn, that in the midst of trial, just dig deep, and it's within you. You have it within you. We have it within us to face whatever challenge is there. And that's what we've done, and that's what we're continuing to do. And that's what our students are doing now too.
That's good, because if you have a strong foundation, then of course you can just build on top of that. And if the shaky weather comes, the earthquake or whatever, like this pandemic has, it's still stable, which is good, and that's really something that's needed in education. So now, how will tech education affect children with work-from-home parents or stay-at-home parents versus students who have parents who are essential workers?
Yes, that's a great question, and that is an area where we're finding that we need to figure out how to support that more and support those students who don't have the parent at home. So we're still working on that and figuring that piece out, but what we've noticed so far is that, of course, those parents who were able to either work from home or stay-at-home parents can provide a lot more support and structure in the home. We found that, and we're finding that even though students are not at school, they still need a set schedule. This idea of distance learning and independent study or go at your own pace does not work well for many students, because school is such a structured environment. Taking the learning out of the school environment and into the home still requires quite a bit of structure. 8 a.m. do this, 10 a.m. do this. So that is still important, and when there's a parent at home, either working from home or being able to be the homeschool teacher, that structure can be reinforced and supported. For many students who don't have the parent at home or someone who is kind of keeping them accountable to a schedule, they've had to figure out for themselves how to make all this work. And so some have been studying late into the night.
Right.
Some have been waiting for one day to do all assignments and turn everything in at once instead of spacing it out.
Right.
So there is an advantage for parents who either work from home or who get to stay home with their children in this distance learning environment.
Now, do you feel like the distance learning, do you feel like it's creating more of a chasm between, the two different groups of where, you have the child whose both parents, are essential workers and, they're spending long hours, or even if one parent is, say in nursing and it's not being there with the child, for social distancing purposes, do you think that they are at a more disadvantage, or do you feel like that gap can be closed because they're offered the same opportunities as far as technology?
That's a great question. You're right. All students have the same opportunity, but they don't all have the same support system to access the opportunity or take advantage of the opportunity in the same way. So yes, unfortunately, I do think that there is a chasm that is widening or being created because not only do many students have to figure it out for themselves as far as the schedule goes, but they also have acquired additional responsibilities of caring for younger siblings if the parent is not at home. And then if you have I work at a high school, so many of our students, if their parent was out of work, they feel like they had to find work in order to help the family. So some students are going to school and working at the same time. Some students are going to school and caring for younger siblings, or some students are doing both, caring for younger siblings and going to work. So there is a chasm, but I know that young people are resilient. So what we're helping them do or trying to help them do is see these as challenges that can be overcome or obstacles that can be faced and worked out. We just have to look for ways to be supportive and creative ways to help them overcome, but that's a very real circumstance. And so again, we're going to have to revisit that and continue to work through that and see how we can be supportive, but it's happening even as we speak.
Wow, that's good. Overcoming. So in when you say overcoming, would you say that this learning technology is inclusive and fair? Is that something that still has to be overcome, or is it something that is already inclusive and fair?
I think technology itself is inclusive. It's the access that and knowing what to do with the technology. Our students had an advantage that was not known before the pandemic, and that is that technology, they're growing up with it, they know how to use it, but they were for the most part not using it for educational purposes. So now making the shift from the social aspects of technology and the use, we're trying to help our students see how beneficial it is for their future if they would use the technology to their benefit. And so yes, the access is there and inclusive, but the responding to the benefits is different. Not every student is seeing the technology and the access as an advantage, when it is a true advantage if students would take it, see it for that and listen to their teachers and follow the instructions of their parents and teachers. They could come out of this pandemic or this circumstance better prepared for college or whatever it is they want to do. If they would, sky's the limit when it comes to technology, because no one knows who's behind that computer, so there's no immediate reaction to the individual. So we want to help them see themselves for the gifts that they are and the gifts that they have within, and use the technology to their advantage so they can prepare themselves for the future that they want to build.
That's good. That's good. So now, how can we guarantee that students with special needs are receiving personalized content and care?
Really good question. Again, taking advantage of the opportunities and the structures. So there are no guarantees. I won't go so far as to say we can guarantee anything. We have made, meaning the school district and my school site in particular, and as I listen, even many schools, districts up and down the state of California have made and put structures in place where all students, including those with IEPs or with special needs, have access and are supported. So one of the ways that we do that is through the Google Classroom platform. Those persons who we call paraeducators, who had been supporting students in the classroom, are still on board with supporting students with the technology, and they're supporting the teacher. They're holding office hours. They're Zooming with the students and providing tutoring and extra time. The IEP is not obsolete. We still have to adhere to what's written in the IEP and provide to the best of our ability those supports that have been determined that student needs. So we are addressing all of that and utilizing the paraeducator and the teacher. IEPs are being held by Zoom. Parents have Zoomed in with the students, and it's just been great to watch how everyone is adapting and adjusting to the new necessary. I don't want to call it the new normal because I don't want it to last, but people are making the necessary adjustments and just chiming in, and everybody's coming together to support the student, which is what it's all about.
Right. We can call it a sub-point.
Okay. Okay.
So what should we all be focusing on more with respect to education and its future post-COVID-19?
What should we be focusing on? We should be focusing on the strengths and the resiliency of all of our students, because they are living this and they are doing the best they can, and they're coming through it. Right. And so we have seniors, and this is up and down the state, across the nation. I'm sure everyone has seen how seniors are trying to be creative about graduations. They've missed their prom, and all the things that the class of 2020 has missed out on. So we want to watch how our students respond to disappointment. And I think that students that I've seen, they're being creative with how to still have fun and still mark this very special time in their lives, high school graduation. I think that's something to watch for, how to take what looks like a disadvantage or something extremely disappointing, and it is. I don't want to downplay it, but it's going to be interesting to watch how this class of 2020, and these students who are in this situation bounce back from this, and how they take what they've learned in this environment and turn it into something positive. I think we're going to come out better than we were prior to COVID-19 pandemic. I think that our school system and education is going to come out stronger, and our students are going to realize how much strength they actually have and how much creativity they have within them, and how well adjusted they are, because they had to think really quickly and keep it moving and prepare themselves for their future. So I know they're going to remember these lessons. They're going to come out knowing how loved they are and how supported they are, and how much people really do, including their parents, their teachers, administrators, the community, how much people really do care about what they learn and how they learn and how well prepared they are for their future. So I think we should watch for that. We should watch for great things to happen and come out of this.
That's good, yeah, because with every situation, somebody has taken it, embodied it, and and have really excelled. And I hope, and I'm sure you're along with me in saying this, that all of the students can take this and just propel, and they can excel.
Absolutely.
And and just body this whole situation. They can look back in 20 years and be like, you remember COVID-19?
When it's a thing of the past, exactly.
So now, is it beneficial for parents to have the final say on learning methods and homework loads during the pandemic, or is it something that would be more beneficial for the school district to have the final say?
Great question. I like to view it as a partnership and as a collaborative effort. So the parents know what's happening at home.
Right.
They know what their children have to do, their responsibilities at home. We are at a disadvantage. We don't know that. So it's almost like it would be if we were still in the classroom. Teachers do the planning of what is expected of students based on the standards. So that can't change. And so our parents and our families and teachers and schools, we do need to work together, and we can both have the final say. Is that fair?
Yeah, that is.
We can both have the final say. But really, I think students probably respond more to their families and their parents. I mean, we say what we say at school, but students will often say, well, my mom told me this or my dad told me that, so we know who has the most influence.
Right.
But as a school administrator, I'm going to just say, let's just continue to try to work together and provide what's best for all students and to support each other. Like like a mother and a father might say, well, what did your mom say? Or what did your dad say? Maybe parents could say that to their children at home sometimes. Well, what is it that your teacher is expecting of you, and how can I support that? And then at school, we can ask the same question. What did your mom say you should be doing when you're here at school today? And then we can support that too and find a way to blend the two expectations, because I think we all have the same thing at heart, and in the long run, we each want what's best for the children. So I think we can work together on that.
Right. So everyone should be able to, coordinate together, the parents and then the teachers, and so should it be like a streamline effect? If the parent has a concern, should they immediately go to the teacher, or should there just be like a jumping method where they just go straight to the school district?
Oh goodness, it depends on the situation. There are some circumstances that parents probably should go straight to the district level, but the way that we hope things would happen is that parents would trust the school and the leadership of the school enough to first come to the school. And ideally, if it's a classroom situation or a communication situation, that the parents would trust the teacher. They would have a relationship, enough of a relationship that the parent would go to the teacher, and then it would be worked out there. If not, then yes, we would take it to the next level, and the leadership of the school could get involved. And if it can't be resolved there, then yes, parents have the right to, and they're informed at the beginning of every school year about their rights and how to get their concerns addressed at a district level. But my hope and my goal is that things would be resolved much sooner than having to go straight to the district level.
Right, that's good, that's good. Well, I don't have children, but if I did and they were in Elk Grove School District, Unified School District, excuse me, I would be completely at peace.
Oh, wonderful, that's good to hear.
So, and I hope that all of you at home are at peace, knowing that we have some really great leaders that are instructing our educators and our children. So thank you again for being here. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. And thank you again, St. Paul.
My pleasure. Thank you.